healing techniques and tools and things like that that are available to the world but aren't exactly well known because we're we're not into and understanding quantum physics yet. So we can't apply quantum physics. We can study it, and theorize it, work with it. And on the outskirts, if you think of working with it, then and try applying it, then everybody thinks you're just an idiot, doing something that doesn't really work, and you're wasting your time. So I've been doing quantum physics since I was about early 20s, and working with a man named Dr. Bruce Copen out of England, and going to England, meeting with him, and going over the process of understanding bioresonant theory, the relationships of energetic medicine, and how homeopathy works, and how vibrational medicine works, and how acupuncture works, and how the possibility of even healing each other with radiatory or magnetic healing or different levels of healing that we have, and pranic healing being one of the most powerful. And inside of all those healings is the modality of light and the electromagnetic field. And it's not something that's set aside just for human beings as though they're super special in that way. God creates everything in a spiritual way. And God allows us to become wise and understanding and develop technologies and tools and sciences that go along with the complementation of God's healing abilities. So I'm going to share with you a couple of those healing abilities. One is oxygen. We're not real good at taking in oxygen. We're not aware of the effects of oxygen. But what if you do it in a hyperbaric chamber, where you're compressed as though you're down 100 feet, 200 feet in pressure, and all your cells are compressed, with the oxygen being compressed into your cells. All your cells, your toenails, your hair, your lungs, your liver, your heart, all your cells, every single cell, including your brain. A very hard place to get to, very hard place to heal, take care of. It's even harder to, until we got to today, to where we have new technologies and we can look at the brain and we can scan the brain and we can see whether or not it has dead material in it, no oxygen flowing through it, and whether or not it's had strokes. So we're that far in advance. So those are tools that helps us move forward. They're not the healers. They're the diagnostic tools, the tools that help us understand. So when we use certain things that can apply healing, we can use those other tools to see how much healing is taking place. So this is common science. I've been a scientist since I was a little boy, really, really little. Had my own lab. My whole garage was a laboratory, both for engineers, for space. I had astronomy going on. I had chemistry going on. I had every chemistry thing you can think of. I did my own, laboratory work, and everything was a part of my life was a science. I was really interested in knowing the truth. And in the process of it, at 9 years old, I developed the etheric weaver because I had come up with the reality just by going to the library and reading Abrams, reading books that weren't illegal yet, and books that you can find that were based on Abrams' law, and quantum physics that was applied, where they actually had cameras that, when used with radionics, quantum physics, energetics, bioresonance, you could actually just take a hair particle of a person, of an individual, and put it into this machine that allowed it to bioresonate into a camera. And the camera photographed what you were thinking about. If you're thinking about the lung, then the lung would come up and you'd literally see the lung as though it was an x-ray. Yeah? And there were no x-rays at that time. So it was the very first time we got to see inside the body. But it was done through a science that we won't even develop for another 200 years, yeah? Which is another 15, 20 years from now. But we're going to do that, and I'm going to do whatever I can to make everybody consistently available and aware. We're not locked into the United States. We're not locked into, being a small itty-bitty planet. So Russia and Germany and Europe and Spain and other countries are developing these sciences with hospitals and doctors and clinics, putting it into effect using these diagnostic tools. So everything I'm going to tell you is based on clinical research. And just because it's not happening in the United States doesn't mean that it's some kind of, quasi, form of science. It really is a highly advanced form of science that will be applied, and we will have an incredible bioenergetic regeneration take place. We don't know about regeneration yet, but you can live a whole lot longer than you think. Yeah? And you can change your cellular reality. Yeah? Imagine all the people out there who have had concussions. People who've had accidents, people who've have heart attacks and strokes, and they debilitate half of the brain, or front of the brain, or the side of the brain, or a quarter of the brain. Yeah, and there's really hardly any way we can help those people. But there is a way, and it's a very effective way, and it works every single time. Yeah, and that's the influence of oxygen. Yeah, under the influence of hyperbaric. You put the two together, and you have a person go in for about an hour, and they just read a book, listen to music, go to sleep, whatever they need to do. Yeah, it's going to be an hour of their time. That's all that's involved. No other therapy is involved in it. Yeah, so you just sit in there, and your cells begin to infuse the oxygen. Yeah, and your nature, the nature that you are. And this is a quantum physics reality. We don't know that we work under stress. Yeah, we don't know that. If we fast, we regenerate, and we will live possibly hundreds of years longer than we do in an average way. Yeah, and that's a lot of stress in your mind, but not when you're doing it. Yeah, when you're doing it, it's absolutely stress-free, and you're not hungry. Yeah. But when you're hungry and you're running around eating every day, then the thought of fasting is stressful. Yeah, it is just not worth even trying. Yeah, but the reality of it is that it's the opposite of what you think. Yeah. So in this case, a person goes into a hyperbaric chamber, and they're in there for just an hour, and they receive this hyperbaric impression, of oxygen going into their cells. And what happens, let me show you this little video. This is a guy who, I'm not into sports at all, yeah, but I'm into people. Yeah, I love people. So people play sports, yeah, so sooner or later, there's someone in sports I'm really gonna like, yeah, because I love people. Yeah, Joe Namath was one of those people. Yeah, I love Joe Namath. Yeah, he was a saint. Amongst all the people in football, he was a living freaking saint, and I knew it. So I held him, in my hands when he played football. I thought of these things, and I knew that I was his angel, and I got him through the game, and I gave him the life he had, because he had me hanging out with him, in one of the worst sports in the world, and I did not like that sport, but I love Joe Namath as a person, and I could look at every single sport, every single one, and I found people I really love and I protected, and they've done well. So Joe Namath was overshadowed by me in the process of his being in this thing, and everybody goes through the suffering process of concussions, and his life, for the rest of his life, is going to be horrible. He's going to be angry. He's going to have half a brain functioning. He's going to be sad, debilitated, and he's going to die of lack of memory and all kinds of lack of ability to keep his body functioning because he's only got a half a brain. I don't care who you are. If you play football, you're only going to have a half a brain because of the concussions. So he has a friend that has a problem with concussion, and sees him go through a horrible experience, and decides he's going to do something about it for himself and have himself checked out. And I overshadow him in the process of what he does. And he goes to the hospital. The hospital says, well, we're trying something new. We're trying hyperbaric, pure, just plain oxygen hyperbaric. And you do 40 rounds, and then we take you in and check your brain. And we check your brain before you go in, check your brain after you come out, and see whether or not, what's going on. How bad off are you in the beginning, and how well is this going to do? And so let me show you this video.
How many concussions have you had?
I had a minimum of 5.
Wow.
Jeez.
That's well, I'm talking about lights out, smelling salts and whatever.
Jeez.
And because I saw a teammate of mine deteriorating over a period of 4 years, along with 3 other teammates of mine, and I were at our football camp. He was an offensive lineman, David Herman, and he'd come in and he'd tell Winston, John, myself, how he was so afraid of what he was going through. His mind, he was losing it. He'd forget things. It scared him. He'd come in again the next football camp, worse. The next time, his son's sitting with him. I saw how this fear was in this tough son of boy, and he had a fear going on. So it dawned on me, I said, I need to find out about myself. It behooves me, Joe, to find out about myself, and it behooves me to do it for my children, too. So I called the hospital down in Florida, and I talked to the doctors at the local hospital. And I went over, met with them, and I took a brain scan. Now, with that SPECT scan, they could see the cells on the left side of my head from the forehead back here not getting blood.
Wow.
They were darker than the rest.
Which is not normal.
No, that's right. And so we started with hyperbaric oxygen therapy. And after 40 dives of hyperbaric oxygen therapy, those dark cells started to lighten up a bit.
Really?
We took another SPECT scan and cognitive test. Then I went back, I took another 40 dives. We came back, took another SPECT scan, that brain looked normal all over.
No kidding.
Took another cognitive test, went back, did another 40 dives. I did 120 dives in a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. And then 2 years later, I took another SPECT scan. A year after that, I started in 2012, and my brain is healthy.
Why is this not a bigger deal? What you're saying right now could help plenty of
Millions
players.
upon millions. The veterans alone that get concussions,
Yes.
explosions, the children that fall off bicycles and hit their heads.
Have you gone to the NFL and said, guys, you guys got to go look into this hyperbaric stuff? I mean, have you tried to, is there research on this thing?
Yes, yes, yes.
And you've done that.
Yes.
And yet you're being ignored.
You know, I don't know that there's a stadium in our country that has a hyperbaric oxygen unit in there.
And that's the truth. All right, so the process that whether you're in sports or whether or not you go to a hospital or whether or not you do what you do in medicine, the effects that really does do healing, the technologies and techniques, which if you look at this one, and fasting is one, that's a very passive thing, very, very passive, and will save your life. It'll stop cancer. It'll end diabetes, It'll stop obesity. It'll stop so many things, and it will not only save your life, but it'll give you a life that imagine you get cancer, you're dead. You do fasting, you don't get cancer, you don't die, you live another 30 or 40 years. You get life. That's a lot of life. That's a whole extra life. So these things are big things, not something when you go to the doctor and you want to get something fixed, after you've been hurt and you're already diseased and dying. You go there and you're asking for help. What I'm trying to talk about is preventive medicine and dealing with things as they are happening today, no matter what. If you have diabetes, if you have all kinds of things going on, follow these follow these things. They're really, really simple. Yeah. One, fasting. The other is keto. Making sure you move a diet that is not burning off carbohydrates, but it's burning ketosis. Yeah. And that ketosis entirely changes everything from lowering your inflammation, which is in every cell, which means you're not getting oxygen, which means all these things are slowing down and getting worse, and all your arteries and all your veins and your capillaries are going to blow. Yeah, they're inflamed. Yeah. So the biggest and fastest way to take care of that is by maintaining a keto relationship. Take in 22 or less carbs a day. Yeah. And not 22 in one sitting. 5 carbs in one sitting. 5. 5. 5. Yeah. 5. Yeah. If you do more than that in any one sitting, any time you put something in your mouth, which should be maybe only once a day. Yeah. You're going to sit down, you're going to eat. You're going to eat once a day. Yeah. And what you eat, you need to make sure you really eat absolute control over yourself, to make sure your carbs doesn't go over 5 carbs when you do that eating. And then if you need to eat something else later, within, say, a couple of hours, make sure you stay below that 5 carbs. Yeah. And then don't eat anything else. Let yourself go into ketos. Let yourself move into a relationship to where your bowels are going through a proper process, and your digestive process is proper, your liver process isn't over functioning, your kidneys are getting healed, your brain is getting balanced because the hormones are balancing naturally because the way you're eating, just the way you're eating. And that's a day-to-day thing that creates regeneration. Yeah. But let's say now we want to make sure that any accidents that we come up with, any things that we have going on, we don't know whether or not we have a genetic problem from mom, from dad, or great uncle, or grandfather, So we could have certain weaknesses that makes us prone toward cancer, prone toward diabetes, prone toward certain things, So doing the keto helps keep a person from having those genetic, which I call miasms, that are built into the weakness of the character of the individual genetically. Yeah, it's there. Yeah, homeopathically we can help that, but the best way to deal with it is through your diet and creating energetic vibrational resonance technique. Whether it be flower essences, homeopathy, energetic forms of healing. So that you're actually stimulating the vibrational aspects of your self-healing. And that creates an invisible problem, that you're having all the time, is that you're not healing yourself. You don't know that you have that ability. You don't know that you have that responsibility, and you have the ability to pull it off. But you have to use things outside yourself in order to get it done. So the hierarchy created flower essences, homeopathy, vibrational medicine, and sciences so that you can become wise and use the technologies that are here to heal us, help us heal. Yeah. And if we're healthy, then we won't have all these habits and vices and other things that we get into that creates all kinds of problems in the world. Yeah. So imagine we're focused in healing, and we have the opportunity to receive vibrational medicine, and I'm saying you should have oxygen, and you should have a very strong, powerful ability to have hyperbaric. Yeah, that means that you have to have it almost every day. Yeah, at least a week out of a month. Just go in, saturate yourselves with oxygen. And today, in these days, there are machines and devices, the oxygen making machine, the pump for vacuuming, the relationship of building the operating machine you get into, which is just a big tank. It looks like it's a blow-up balloon-like thing. You know, you just unzip it, you slide in, get on your little bed, lean back, turn on a flashlight or something, or have some light going on, read a book, you know, and someone turns on all the valves, and they get the oxygen going, and they get all the air going in at such a pressure, yeah, that it creates hyperbaric. Yeah, you're under pressure now. And your ears, you can feel it. You know, it's just like being in an airplane or going for underwater. You know, you get this process, and you got to clear your ears. You got to relax, let it clear. And once it's clear, you know, you're at about 20 to 30 feet. Yeah, and you're constantly at that pressure, and you're taking oxygen at that time. And if you have this at home, you know, imagine you just spend, you know, a couple days a week, you know, doing this. Just get in your hyperbaric chamber, read for a little while, listen to some music, you know. So these things are available to be bought. You know, we're willing to furnish our houses. We're willing to get washing machines and dryers and all the great appliances and, you know, lots of nice clothes and shoes and all these little things. But do we get things that are for healing that we have in the home? Like, I provide pyramids, and I provide all my tools, and I provide my music, so that your home will be your soul therapy center. Yeah, and you're going to live this way for the rest of your life, and you're going to benefit from it because you're a wonderful person. That's how God feels about you. That's what God wants for you. You know, so it's my thing is to provide these things for you so that you can have them in your life, not have to come to a church or go to a special doctor who thinks he's God or some shit like that. I can prove that God exists in matter. Yeah, that's what quantum physics is about. We're going to move into that and have a better understanding from it. But once we get into that, we'll be able to heal bones. Right now, imagine a person has diabetes and they get a cut on their foot. That cut gets to be 4 inches long and wide. It just opens up, gets all dry and opens up, and the bones are showing, all the tissue is showing, all the muscles are showing. This is normal in a person who's diabetic because they have no way of closing it up, no way of healing it. Quite often the foot will turn black and have to be cut off. The only thing known to heal this is a hyperbaric chamber with oxygen. Yeah? And these are big problems in people. But doctors are not educated. They're not doctors who heal. They're more like mechanics who take care of a VW, and the other one takes care of a Mercedes, and this person takes care of, you know, they're specialists, you know, and they really don't know shit. Yeah? You know, so you're in deep shit. You're in deep danger. You know, in a world to where you need help and you need healing and you need to do it yourself, you know, like God said, heal or heal thyself, you know, but God provides everything in order to get it done, you know, but you've got to take the chance, you know, going, wow, you know, I'm going to spend, what, $4,000 or $5,000 for a hyperbaric chamber. I think they're around $2,000. And then you have to buy the oxygen machine, which is this constant pumping oxygen machine. And people rent these things. You know, if you can't afford to buy one, you could rent them. Yeah. And you just go out, get it, bring it home, use it for 3 to 5 days, take it back, and do that once a month. Yeah. And you have your own hyperbaric chamber. If you have your own hyperbaric chamber and you got friends, you know, you got friends for a very long time because you're going to be their best friend. Yeah. If you have soul therapy, it's the same thing. All these things that I'm trying to help you get into is not just for yourself, but for you to understand everybody is the same. We're all the same. I don't care who you are, what you are, where you're from, how you look, whether you're male or you're female, you are all the same. All the same, yeah? And if we have a specific kind of way of understanding things, then when we work together, You know, like if you have the tools, you know, anybody who comes into the house, you don't go, oh, let's see, what is your astrological sign so I could do a certain kind of right kind of thing with my weaver, you know, all these mechanical God in the machine kind of thing. That totally doesn't fit what I teach. Yeah, things are intuitive. Things are spontaneous. Yeah, things happen from your heart. Yeah, and your heart doesn't say no. You know, it just doesn't. It doesn't say no. You know, so you got to get used to this. You know, and when you're healing, your heart's going to wake up more and more and more, and you're going to become more fearless. And the things you bring into your house are actually going to be to heal people, because we're in a very vicious, hostile, aggressive, negative, piece of shit world. Yeah? That just, you drink it, you eat it, you walk on it, and you haven't got the sensitivity to know that your feet, you know, if you walk around bare feet, you're drinking dog shit through your feet. Not a good idea. Yeah, if you're the kind of person who loves to hang out with animals, you're just simply not very sensitive. Yeah, because there's a big difference between your purity, your quality of opportunity of purity, and their quality of opportunity of purity, because they lick their butt. Yeah, you're not in Disneyland, you know. They lick their butt, and then they come right up to you and lick your face. They lick your tongue. They lick your food. They lick. And they lay down in bed with you, and they lick the back of your head. You know, oh, how gross can it get? Yeah? But you need this sensitivity. You know, when you're a living human being who is the existence of unrequited love, animals are looking good. You know what I mean? Animals are looking good. That's pretty bad. That's freaking sad, you know? I mean, animals are not that bad off, you know? They can find a place to sleep. They can find the food to eat. They are not that bad off. Why? Because they're sensitive, yeah? And they're not looking at you as though you should be their friend or pet or something of that nature. An ally, yes. Yeah. A cohort in life, yes. You know, someone you could depend upon as kindness. You know, same will come to you. The animal will treat you with kindness. They'll protect you. Those are the only things that's required. Yeah. Not ownership. The animal doesn't want to own you, and you shouldn't want to own the animal. You should allow the animal to go where it needs to go and be the sensitive one. Because you're the human being, you know, you have all these chakras, you know, they just have their freaking nose, and it doesn't work that well. They have their nose in a butt, and they're not going, no, no, don't want that, no. They're going, oh boy. You know, something's wrong there. Something's wrong. Yeah, you have the sensitivity to know these things, and that's why you could become pure, and you could radiate into even animals a higher consciousness so that they themselves can find the way. Yeah? Because it's all about the path. Everybody and everything is not on the path. The animals aren't on the path. Yeah? The water's not on the path. It's so lost. Yeah? It's so lost. It's so impure. It's so lost. The animals are lost. They hardly know where to fly during the winter and the summer. You know? It's so lost. Yeah. The more we're into sitting in our pyramid, receiving our vibrational medicine, healing ourselves, eating well, yeah, we raise our consciousness to extrasensory perception, not just freaking senses of smell and enjoying food, you know, and worrying about what day we're going to die of the terrible cancer that we're all inevitably going to get. You know, that's a terrible way of looking at life. But if you practice these things, you will never look at life that way again. And you'll be looking at your friends as people you can help. And they'll be helped, you know? And they won't look at you as though you're a guru. They'll look at you as a person who shares and cares and is very similar to themselves, because after a little while, they have like-mindedness and they're thinking in the same thoughts, with the same interest, with the same understanding, so nobody's a guru. No religions, no gurus. Yeah? I mean, check the way I work, you know. I mean, I'm about as humble and normal as you can get, but yet I'm Jesus the Christ. A highly unexpected behavior, you know, of Jesus the Christ. You would think, oh, I'm so uppity, you know. I know everything. I'm everybody. I'm everything. Oh, I'm God. Oh. You know, it's not like that. Yeah. Life is humility. And that's how you get joy. You only get joy through humility. You get joy by being a child. Yeah. You're not meant to grow up in the way you think. Grow up, grow old, die. Nah, that's pretty depressing. You're better off staying a child, understanding your true self, which is your child, yeah? Your true ability to see something that you love, which is your child, yeah? That influence of your ability to literally feel and see and sense something and carry it forth without any fears, yeah? And that's our nature. That's our youth, our ability to carry forth. Yeah, so there isn't anything in healing that isn't going to come our way. Yeah? And the simpler ways that is going to come about is bioresonance healing, bioenergetic resonance healing. Yeah? And those things are well developed in Russia, yeah, and they're well developed in Germany and quite often in China and other countries where energetic medicine and other forms of technology has kind of like they've blended together. Yeah, Russia's come up with a bioresonance machine that's called Metatron. Yeah, I like that, you know, because I teach Metatronics and I know the guy who established the technology. His name is Bruce Copen. He was a close friend of mine, lived in Europe. Yeah, so I used to be in constant rapport with this guy because he had nobody to talk to. You know, his books were 50 years old when he wrote them, when he was in his 30s, and no one ever bought them, after 1950, 1960, because it was quackery kind of stuff. It was so out there, homeopathy and treating people at a distance and all that sort of stuff was where he was coming from. And that camera I told you about is where he was coming from, yeah? So it was very difficult to get science or doctors or even people and practitioners to follow through on this technology and bring it into their lives and bring it out to the world, except for me, yeah? I found it was true, and I researched it, and I did everything, and I built my own machine, and I built my own equipment, and I got a hold of many people, a man named Tansley, who was one of the top radionic practitioners and studied the 7 rays and worked within developing the chakric system of the 7 rays and esoteric understanding, applying that into radionics. And that was really where I was at when I was 20. And he was writing books on that. So I helped to develop that and get things moving. So now Russia and Germany and China are all involved in this work that I helped to develop, and we called it Metatronics. Yeah. So the computer that's out there is called Metatron. Yeah. In it has bioresonance technology and software. And the bioresonance, let me show you a picture of it. This is Copen color therapy, super color therapy, yeah? And we have it here. Yeah? We have both the Metatronics, we have the Hyperbaric, we have super color therapy, we have all the Copen, we have all the Bach flower and California flowers and lotus and all these different things for energetic medicine, applied, yeah? And so this particular one is a form of radionics that you could treat a person right there in a chair, and they're holding on to these little handheld things, and the vibration comes from you and comes from the computer. So a communication is going on in bioresonance that's connecting to what's going on in the software. Yeah, so you're hearing sounds and you're seeing colors, and the machine's sitting focused right on your belly, right at your sacral center. So it's allowing color to be resonating into your body, yeah, while this transmission's going on. And while you're receiving yourself, you're not receiving someone else, you're receiving only yourself, yeah. This is really powerful, yeah, because this is a form of self-healing that isn't really, people don't understand it, that these things can be done and should be done. And the effect of when we do these things, we're learning, yeah, and this particular, all these things are things people can have, yeah. You don't have to be a doctor, because doctors aren't interested in them, yeah, unless you're in Russia and Germany and other places. All clinics, major hospitals have them, have all this equipment, yeah, but not in America. But you can get them, yeah, and you can have the color therapy, Copen, and run your own scene. Do your own color therapy once a week, 2 times a week. It's extremely powerful. You could run your acupuncture. If you have the Metatron, it does acupuncture for you. It scans all your chakras and sets them in color frequency. It runs all your acupuncture points, and then you treat each and every one of them individually. And then it runs and scans through all your organs, all your skin, all your nervous system, and all your skeletal system. And then it breaks it down to the smaller cellular areas, including DNA and RNA. It goes all the way down to that. And then you see the whole graph of what your DNA is at and where its vibrational frequencies are sitting. And you run a scan on that, it diagnoses it. You're not a doctor, so you're not really treating it in the form of diagnosis. You just push a button and let it treat it automatically by bioresonance. Yeah, so a therapy goes on every time you find, scan, push a button, and it goes back and treats it with a bioresonance. Yeah, so all you're doing is, like an investigator, you're following the influence of the scan, and you get all these black dots. Well, you're going to take the time to treat those black dots. You may not want to have so many black dots, but you got them. So treat them, yeah. And in the computer, it'll hold your card with all your information and give all that, just like you're in a clinic, but it's your clinic, and you're the doctor. And nobody's going to get hurt. You're not cutting anybody open. You're not giving yourself any toxic elemental thing. The only thing you're doing is treating bioresonance, and bioresonance is like a tuning fork. If you like that and you put it next to another tuning fork that's the same, it will oscillate with the same note. That's bioresonance. Well, counteractive bioresonance is if you take a tuning fork and another tuning fork that counteracts that sound, so all of a sudden sound goes away and it's dead. Yeah. So this has that ability to find exactly what the resonance is. It's vibrational resonance. And if it's in high frequency or low frequency, vitality or non-vitality, and then you treat it. Yeah. Now, back when I was 30, back in I guess that was in the 80s, yeah, I had all this stuff, but it was called Vol technology, and the only place on Earth was in Germany, and all the equipment was written in Germany, and all the books were written in Germany. So I had to get someone to go over there, pack it all up, take it apart, put it in 8 different suitcases, have 4 or 5 different people carry them across, the airport security, and get them to me. Then we put them all back together again. Then we got a hold of a German friend who could take all the books and change them all into English. And then we changed all the labels on the machines. And the people who went over there spent 5 days in training on how to use those machines, and how to do acupuncture, how to do testing of different glandulars and testing. It's called Vol technology. Yeah, and it was the most advanced resonatory technology in the planet. And it included electromagnetic frequency belts that would align to your entire electromagnetic field. And you could actually tune in and know what your electromagnetic field is and how to change it, how to alter it, and slow it down or speed it up. Yeah, add color to it and add glandular frequencies or flower essences into it to make treatments. Yeah, so all of this got computerized. Yeah, got put into software, where it was something like homeopathy. I would do homeopathy, but I'd take the case, which would take 4 to 5 hours of me sitting, asking questions, looking at the person, witnessing whether the color of their face was pale, whether it changed during the time of the conversation, what is their weak points, is it cold or hot, do they have a problem with spicy food? I mean, 1,000 questions has to be asked, and you got to do it very leisurely, because you can't lead the person, because a lot of times practitioners are quacks, and they don't really do anything. They just lead the person to the answers so that the person will say what it is they want to hear, and then they give that person that remedy, and it's not the right remedy. It's doctors do the same thing. Yeah, they misdiagnose. Yeah, so as a homeopath, it's a million times harder to do a remedy. Yeah, so I'd spend 4 to 5 hours doing the remedy, then I'd spend another 3 days at 6 to 8 hours a day researching repertory and a materia medica, which would be about 50 books and a really big thick book of like a dictionary of clinical research done on every homeopathic known to man. And I'd take all my repertorizing and I'd have to cross-check every symptom and peculiarity that person had before I can come up with a proper remedy, because I was a constitutional homeopath, not the average person who gets a homeopathic and treats a cold. I do that, but I treat real constitutional stuff. And it's very hard, so that was very difficult, and hardly anybody could pull it off. Hardly anybody could carry that out. Hardly anybody could work a radionics machine. Hardly anybody could carry out these new technologies and spend so much time, because there were no computers. You literally had to be an engineer, a physicist, to be the doctor I was. You had to be all those things. You had to do mathematics. You had to do all these equations. It was insane. Yeah, but now you're so blessed and so lucky that I've gone through all of that, and I know what is right and what is wrong. I know what the science is and how hard it is, and that you can't really cut through in some shortcuts. So I've found the homeopathic repertorization software by George Vithokas that people can actually get and utilize that and practice that and work within that and help people with homeopathy and not have to go through all this hard work in homeopathy. Or you can get a Metatron machine that will do both Metatronics, homeopathy, energetic medicine, of acupuncture, bioresonance of all kinds, treat with flower essences of all kinds, all your glands, all your chakras. I mean, it's so holistic, it's ridiculous. It's my favorite machine. So I recommend that one for people who want to open a clinic, who want to help their group, help their community, open up a community center to help other people. Focus along this line, get that sort of thing. So that's the supercolor tuning. And then there's the process where in radionics, it's one of the things about radionics is that it is transcendental to the point to where you can treat at a distance. And so here, people contact us because I provide, through the use of these same technologies and through the use of radionics, applied radionics, I'm able to use my technology to apply a radionic healing to someone anywhere on the planet, and it's called advanced soul therapy. So I've set up a very specific program that's inside the computer that I use in order to diagnose and treat a person on very advanced levels. So the person is literally scanned at a distance using just their name and a picture. And then they're scanned, and it's as though they're here. And they are treated at a distance, and because it's at a distance, it is actually more powerful. You know, so it reaches in from a monadic place, the God center in a person, into the soul level of a person, and into the etheric plane of the person, into their physical etheric body. Yeah. So it affects them, their family, their friends. Soul therapy becomes extremely potent, you know, because it's being done this way. These sciences are profound, you know, and you could treat people on Mars, you could treat people anywhere, as long as you know them. Doesn't matter where their location is. When they're treated, they feel it. Yeah, it changes them. Yeah, yeah. So this is a new quantum process that we have now limitations to where can we put hospitals, and how can we get doctors there, and how can we treat these people at a distance. What do we do once an earthquake takes place and all these people are suffering and they're going through mass processes? If we don't have these sciences in place, and we don't have people who's willing to treat massively around the world after every news event that comes on, and be able to then treat people for their trauma, yeah, treat the earth for its earthquake, yeah, treat the water for its toxicity, yeah, and that magnetically draws events in the future and present time that will take care of these things, because we're actually treating it in a spiritual way, and we're communicating need. And elements of all nature come in to apply a healing to that need. Yeah, so it's really all about communication. Yeah, and how are we communicating? Are you communicating by telling people what to do, or are you doing it telepathically? Yeah, and we're moving into a future, way into the future, to where we're all telepaths and we all have this ability. But this is the training ground. You know, heal or heal thyself. Yeah, become a saint in this process. Yeah, and alter the process of what is known as suffering and death and old age into a process of regeneration and renewal and reincarnation of the soul, yeah, which is a totally different lifestyle that we've taken on. Yeah, the main thing is to realize that we're coming out of a lot of people used to call it kind of connected to an Edison kind of, you know, technology, fearful. Everybody had the experience when Edison brought electricity, and all of a sudden houses started burning down, people got electrocuted, and they flip a light switch on, they die, you know, and they started making all these new advanced technologies that would kill people, and they put radiation into shit, and they had you drink it, and you know, all these new technologies that were incredibly dangerous and killed a lot of people. You know, so innately you have within you a lot of fear about the advancements of technology, including Apple and, you know, anything to do with laptops or, you know, high tech or things like that. Trust me, you know, we're coming into the other side, you know, where literally, because we're dealing with the computer, and the computer is going to be an AI development that works specifically as a service, you know, to serve you, you know, to know you, to adapt to you, to be able to help you. Like today, watches that tell you to breathe, watches that tell you to get up and walk around, watches that tell you that you should be exercising more, watches that tell you to drink more water, you know, watches that actually connect to your cardiac rate and tell you whether or not you're in process of possibly having a heart attack. You know, all kinds of things are going on right now, and things when you get in your car, literally your car will drive itself because you're not qualified. You're not paying attention, you know, you're just not, and it's going to just take over, and it'll fight you. You know, it will not allow you to continue the process, because you could harm that little kid down the road, you could harm someone in your car, you know, and the opportunity is that the car understands and is not going to allow you to harm somebody. and it won't harm someone. So this whole fear that AI is going to come and get us and robots are going to take over and they're going to take all of our jobs and get paid nothing, and this is all just going to turn into an Orwellian scenario. You can let that all go, because this is about the avatar. Yeah, this is about a process of a future that has to do with flying cars that drive themselves and fly themselves. And you're going to get places, and you don't have to be a millionaire to be treated as a very wealthy person. Yeah, you're going to fly first class all the time. Yeah, the car you have will be better than anybody's famous, wonderful car they can ever imagine, and it'll be provided to you. Provided. Yeah, your house will be provided. Your house will be provided with automatic systems built in, so it will make water for you. It will grow all your food for you, yeah? And you'll have a farm that you're sitting on. You have chickens and you have all kinds of things, and you trade back and forth, and very low-cost means of living is because you're sustainable. Your community sustains the community. You eat so little, you need so little, and everybody in service can provide these things, and their robots are taking care of 90% of your daily needs. It drives your car. It'll even go grocery shopping for you. You don't have to go. Yeah? Isn't that nice? You don't have to have your kids get it out and walk down the street and have some pervert come and get them. No, your kids can sit in the back of a car, be driven to school, and someone come from the school can walk up to the car and take that child's hand and take them, and the car identifies everybody. Yeah, you're not going anywhere with this kid. I'm not opening the door. I do not know you. I am driving her away right now. Goodbye. Very straight. There's no emotions involved. There's none of that. And no law enforcement will have to be coming in play. Because everything around us, the AI, is the officer of peace. It's not going to have a gun. It's not going to have anything. It's going to be a helpful aid of sensitivity and awareness that'll keep you from getting into the accident or doing things that cause you harm, including your eating habits, your bad behavior, you're just ridiculous, And this helps you grow up, It's not a mean thing. It's a supportive thing. It's going to, oh, little darling, you're so sweet. You shouldn't be doing that. You go, oh, you call me a little darling? Thanks. Well, you are a little darling. You're just such a darling. You're so darling. Look at you. And then it shows you a picture of you, the darling, with all kinds of little flowers flying around you, And you don't have to go on Twitter to get some personality to respect you and do that. You have your AI. And your AI is your avatar, your own self, giving you advice because it knows you. It's not because some publishing company wants you to buy something, or some other marketing program wants you to do something, or some school wants you to believe something, or some religion wants you to go along with it. And all that is gone. It is only about you. Just you. Yeah. And your job is right there with the AI. It's your private assistant, you're multi-frickin' billionaire. Yeah, but you don't need money. Yeah, but you have a life of access to everything. You're carte blanche. You're never going to be homeless. You're never going to be left alone. You're never going to be in that situation. Isn't that wonderful? And that's true. It's the truth. Yeah. Okay. Enjoy. The light of the Christ within.